Welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number 136, I think. Today is December 6th, 2024, St. Nicholas Day, and also some dear friends of ours' 10th wedding anniversary. They do not watch this video, so I won't bother wishing them a happy anniversary here. I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And it is a chilly day. We've been in a chilly stretch lately. Today's high is supposed to be 42, which is, it's one of the possible typical weathers for December. We can also have 70 degrees in December. This is North Carolina, after all. Thanks for joining me today. Something is funny about the table. Excuse me for doing all the shifting around. And I don't know exactly, I mean, something is funny about it, so it wiggles if I touch things, which of course I'm going to touch things because the table is covered with a mishmash of things. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Anyway, Flosstube has to do with cross stitch, and Variety Show has to do with something else, and there's a pretty big variety of Variety Show stuff today. So let me show you what I've been working on this week. I'm going to show you in praise of the Needle Hussif, which is a pre-workshop piece for the 2025 edition of the Great British Sampler Weekend, which has now been renamed Mrs. Parkman's Academy of Needlework, or maybe that's the subtitle of it. Not sure, excuse me. Might make a noise here. I realized my table was too far. And I've been working on this. I've been working on the top panel, and I started doing the back stitch. Isn't it pretty? Now, I have a few things that aren't finished in the stitching. And some of it is because I didn't read the pattern correctly, and some of it is because I just forgot, or the hoop was in the wrong place. But I've started the back stitch, and in doing the back stitch, I've discovered that I counted wrong in some places. So that's all right. I'm going to make sure this is the right size before I move on to the panel below it, because that's the important thing, is that it all is the right size compared to each other. Relative size is right, so that when we get the instructions for how to make it into the Hussif, which is all, you know, this whole thing folds up in different ways to make pockets and things like that, it will be clearer what I'm supposed to do and that it will all fit together. So I've enjoyed working on that. I'm going to probably I'll work on that again this week, although maybe not. Maybe I'll set it aside because there's more. Look, wait, there's more. I've also been working on Jane Thompson again. This was originally a release through the Homespun Needleworks cross stitch group, but since then it's become available. It's been released, which suggests that it's been more than a year. But here's how far I am. And if those of you who've watched a lot of my videos will say, well, you haven't done anything. Well, I have. I really have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these border things are either finished or started in that corner. I should have, you know, my self-discipline told me I should finish at least one line of the verse, but I didn't feel like it. I felt like doing these little border designs, and you know, they are very pretty. And one of the things that attracted me to this sampler to start with was this border, and that it's the same shape over and over, but it's assorted colors. So that's been fun. I definitely will pick that up between now and the next time I make a video, which should be next week. Now, you may wonder why. Those are the only two of my regular projects that I have to show you. I haven't done even one stitch on Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather. I haven't done anything on the other things that are around, but I have done some things. Finally, at long last, and this is not a beautiful finish, but it is going to be acceptable for its purpose. I might try to get some, well, anyway. I've told you that I wanted to stitch a little present for my friend Ashley. Now, Ashley, if you are watching this, then you should just turn away. Don't watch, don't even listen. Mute it and turn away and set your watch for, let's say, 5 minutes. Okay? You've done that. Or whatever, because you're going to receive this in the mail. I don't think Ashley watches, but I think at one point she did, so thus my caution. So as I told you, her daughter, who was 4 at the time, or maybe a young 4, 2 Christmases ago, I'm going to say, or probably that, entered a department store in December and sang along with the music at the top of her lungs, "Angels we have heard on high, Gloria, get yourself together." And so I just had to stitch a little pillow for her, for Ashley, to remember that. So I just used 18 count light blue Aida and threads that were at hand. I used this motif, the angel and the little lamb, are from the Nativity Scene by Stitchy Princess. And I just charted them. I took them out of that chart and adapted them and adapted the colors a little bit. And I'm pretty pleased with how the stitching turned out. The pillow is not that great, but I put a little snowflake pattern fabric on the back and stuffed it with fiberfill. And one of the problems is I could not get the fiberfill either even or enough in there. And it's that super resilient fiberfill that is now the only thing you can get. You can't get the original stuff from 20 or 30 years ago, which was more compactable. This just, I mean, it just is wonderfully squishy, but it makes it hard to get it into the corners and things like that. And so anyway, and if you're hearing little bang dings, it's because there's all kinds of correspondence happening about Christmas presents in my texts. So anyway, there's that. So I might put some white rickrack around it, the edge of it. That might help obscure some of the imperfections. I don't have any white rickrack. So we'll see if I make it to Joann's. I have my doubts. So that's all I've worked on. And I mean, it did take some time to chart that and to figure some things out. And then it's about 850 stitches. So that took some time. So I hope you forgive me for not having more to show. But I do have more to show. It's just not current cross stitch. I'll just show you this little Christmas finish I did for last year. I think it's Beth Twist Heartstring Samplery. And I have the companion piece to this, and I can't remember what the words are on it, which I was going to stitch this year, but I didn't. So there's something that is, it's Christmas time, so that comes to the fore. And also, you remember, just recently I finished this, and I pinned it to some acid-free foam core. I think I may also lace it, and I'm going to do something with it in the way of a finish, but maybe not this year, who knows. I mean, it's only December 6th, so maybe. So from where you're sitting, can you tell that I changed dye lots, or that I had to buy some new floss? In certain light, I can tell, and I'm not going to tell you where it is, but I'd be curious. And certainly, I don't think it detracts from it. But I did buy a bunch of skeins of new floss to make some cording for it. And I followed Vanna Pfeiffer's method of making cording, which she said to cut your original strings or threads 3 times the length that you need, and 4 times if you need a hanger for an ornament or something. So I did it just over 3 times, and I have plenty. So I think that looks nice. If you just ignore the little pins, I mean, that'll be part of the finish somehow. So I have a lot, and this is about 75 inches was the length, because I needed about 24-ish inches to go around that. And I could not do it myself, because one of the steps is, after you've initially twisted it, then you take it off the cording twister tool, you hang that on it, and you let that be the weight as you approach where you had it attached. I mean, you have to have some tension on that, because you don't want it to twist at a point that's not the center. And my arms are not this long. They're not long enough. So I had to call my husband in from the other room and instruct him in what we were trying to do. And as it is, I did have to retwist it, because the first time it wasn't enough. I mean, I made a lot of cording. I have made a lot of cording, but I have not made anything this long. And so it's hard to judge the tautness necessary. And so I had to retwist it, but he was patient and waited for me. And it, it doesn't take any time. So anyway, that was fun. I mean, I could, I suppose, make some cording to go around this. White cording would be nice. I don't know if I have enough white. I might have to go and buy some, which craft stores at this time of year, you're taking your life in your hands to go there. So I have a lot of other things to show you. So let's think. So I'll show you, one thing is that the other workshop I'm participating in, that's part of the Great British Sampler Weekend next year, is the one by Ray Niles, Red Barn Samplers. And so she's created this, she's calling it, corner gauge pocket. And so it's, you choose 2 of these designs, one for the front and one for the back of your project. And of course you could do anything you want, but she gives instructions what size fabric, where to stitch it, what colors. She charted it in DMC, which is nice because that is what I want to use. And I'm relieved that this is less stitching than Jane Greenoff's Hussif that I just showed you. So at some point I will kit this up and start working on it, but it'll be next year. But it will be finished before October. So what else? Oh, here's another blast from the past. I got this out because it's Christmas time, and this is a Christmas cactus quilt. And I normally hang it on the wall just to the other side of the fireplace. So I'll put this up. I made this in 2003 for my mother-in-law. And she displayed it. She had beautiful Christmas cactuses. And she displayed this possibly year-round, but I thought of it as a Christmas decoration. And then when she died, I got it back, which I was happy to have it. I also made another one for Cindy, and she usually displays hers at Christmas time also. And now I have beautiful Christmas cactuses. They are, at this moment, they're not that beautiful. They really shot their bolt for, oops, sorry, I touched the table. They shot their bolt for Thanksgiving, so, anyway. So what else can I show you? So this year, again, I'm participating in the Jenny Doan's Countdown for Christmas box. And this was day 1. This is a greeting card kit that you make using scrap fabric and cards. She gives cards and envelopes and liners in here. And this is the instructions for it. And the real cool thing about it, also gift card holders. So, you know, if you give somebody a gift card that's a credit card size, is it comes with all these stencils, which, can you see them at all? Oh yeah. I mean, lots of stencils. So you can make Christmas cards or you can make other cards. And the idea is you punch these out. They provided fusible stuff so that you draw this on the fusible paper side of the fusible thing, stuff, material. And you cut it out and fuse it to your wrong side of your fabric. I had to think for a moment. Peel the paper off, and then you fuse the fabric to whatever. It's a cat. Things to make flowers out of. And this is, of course, the Missouri Star shape. And this is Chuck the Duck. It's one of their mascots. Balloon, or that could be a balloon, or it could be a Christmas ball, Christmas tree light. I like that. Birds, acorn, mushrooms, Christmas tree shape. So very fun. I'm definitely gonna try this. And they show some examples of what you can do. And of course, you can do anything you like. It also shows, interestingly, I now see, I don't know if you can see this on the pattern, but it shows little buttons, embellishments, which one of the days was a whole package of embellishment type items. Boy, I'm moving so carefully to not jostle the table. We're gonna have to get that fixed before the next video. And so maybe some of the items in that embellishments kit could go on the cards. So that's one thing that was cool. So this is day 6, so I've only opened 6 things. I mean, everything's been cool. But that was one project. And another one is this little quilt, which is designed, which the fabric that you, so here's the quilt. And the other part of this was this fabric panel, which is the doors. It's the doorways. And also, so some of the doorways have Christmas wreaths. So you could pick and choose the ones that are Christmas themed. But some of them are not Christmas themed. They're just normal, regular ones. There's a Christmas tree. And then there's also 2 areas of fabric which are to make your Christmas tree shapes out of. So this one, you know, it has a garland, and this one has decorations. So the idea being that, you know, this tree right here, you could make out of one of those fabric panels and the corner squares in the quilt. And you can use whatever fabric you want, scrappy fabric, to make the houses. So I think that's very cool. I think she said, I think the pattern says you need 31 doorways, and I haven't counted. It seems like there must be more than 31 doors on here, but maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 35 just on this section, and there's another section with probably 30. And, oh yes, and the trunks of the trees are to be made out of this wood-colored fabric. Very clever. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. Oh, and there's more doorways. There's lots of doorways, plenty of doorways to make more than one quilt, or to make a bigger quilt, or make, you know, probably I would think that one might choose to do a Christmas themed one and a non-Christmas themed one. But that was fun. That will be fun. So anyway, this may seem like the whole video has been variety show, but I did want to do one more topic of variety show, which is to tell you a little bit about our Thanksgiving gathering and to give you the opportunity to get a recipe from me. So, Thanksgiving was last week, wasn't it? Yes, a week ago, yesterday. Boy, time is all messed up in my head these days. So our son and daughter-in-law came on Wednesday, and we had our traditional Pie Day celebration on Wednesday evening, which used to be that I went to the house of one friend, another friend joined us there, and they made pies, and I hung out. I mean, I would peel apples or cut X's in the sides of chestnuts or things like that. But now, and that was partly because one of the friends didn't really know how to make pie crust, so she would come for encouragement and coaching from the other friend who was making pie. Well, now things have changed. Our kids are different ages, and our kids have grown up. They're the same relative ages and gotten married and gone off to college and all this sort of thing. So we don't actually make pies on Pie Day anymore, but we still eat pizza pie, which Byron and I provide for a group, however big. This year there were a lot of people. There were 20 maybe, including some little kids who didn't eat much pizza. But anyway, it's always fun, something we look forward to. And we're very grateful that Rebecca plans it and invites us. And as we say, these are people that we would normally have over for dinner, but instead we invite them all to Rebecca's house and we provide the pizza once a year. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. That was Wednesday night. And then Thursday we drove to South Carolina for our family, that is my husband's family's gathering. And this year, we were only 38, plus the father of one of the people, so 39, but 38 directly related to us people. I think that's right, 38. And I say only 38 because there were 10 people, potential people, missing. That is 10 family members who did not come. And we also, so 2 of the people there were babies under the age of 1. This was their first Thanksgiving with the family. And there are 2 babies expected. So you see I have quilts to make, and I think I've mentioned that before, and I delivered 1 quilt, and I hope I took a picture of it. Not sure I did. And I have another one that's ready to be put on the quilting machine, and then it will go off in the mail. But part of what this involves, if you're going to have Thanksgiving dinner with 38 people, is people have to pitch in. And so my brother-in-law, Steve, always makes the smoked turkey. That is, he does now that that Avery has died. And so Steve does smoked turkey, and sometimes there's ham or barbecue also. This year there was barbecue. And then there are a multitude of side dishes: sweet potato casserole and macaroni and cheese and green bean casserole of a couple of different varieties, and mashed potatoes and rolls and desserts. And I always bring 86 proof cake. 86 proof cake, which is a very dense, it is not a light and fluffy cake. It is a very dense, kind of pound cake, but denser, chocolate, coffee, rum cake. And it's outstanding, really. It really is. it's been a family favorite since Byron and I got married, and he gave me the Maida Heater Book of Great Chocolate Desserts cookbook for possibly Christmas our first year. I think that might be right. And I took this cake to a Thanksgiving dinner, a Thanksgiving gathering, way back when we were first married. And people raved about it, including Byron's parents, who were teetotalers. And I'm pretty sure that they knew what the 86 proof meant in the title, but they loved the cake. And it became clear that we were not going to be allowed to come to Thanksgiving gatherings if I didn't bring the cake. So almost every year, the cake has been part of what we bring. And it's delicious. It's not hard to make, except that there's one trickiness, which is that you have to have the right pan. And so the pan that I use is this one. It is it produces a cake like this. This is a 10-cup tube pan, decorative tube pan. It is not a regular bundt pan. Now, the regular bundt pan is 12 cups, but Bundt makes or has made a 10-cup version, which this is one. I bought this at a thrift shop. And I could tell from the inside of it that whoever had it before me had trouble with it, which I understand. It is tricky to manage a bundt pan to get the cake out of it, but I use this one. I bought that one because sometimes it seems to me that I might someday want to make 2 of these. And I'll give you the recipe, but basically you melt baking chocolate, unsweetened baking chocolate, and you mix it with Crisco. Now, do not throw up your hands in horror. And let me tell you why I use Crisco. I did use butter once. First of all, the recipe calls for Crisco. And the cookbook was written in the early 1980s, so that was an era when Crisco was more popular than it is now. And once I made it with butter, and it boiled up over the edge of the pan onto the bottom of the oven. But whenever I've made it with Crisco, even though it really comes practically to the top of the pan, it never boils over. And I think that the difference between Crisco and butter in this application is that butter has water in it, and Crisco doesn't. Butter, and you can tell that butter has water in it and Crisco doesn't, because if you put butter in a pan, it froths, and that is the water that's in it boiling and creating steam, which makes the butter fat, froth. Excuse me. You put Crisco in a pan, it doesn't froth. There's no water in it, no free water in it. Now, and so therefore, because Crisco is a manufactured product, also, it is very consistent, whereas butter, if you get premium butter or butter from Walmart or butter from Sam's Club or butter from, a regular brand, you're going to have different results, possibly because of slightly different water content in it. And so I don't use butter for this recipe. So Crisco, baking chocolate, Crisco, sugar, instant coffee. I use decaf, which you mix with a little bit of hot water. You top up your 2-cup measure up to the 1.5 cup line with cold water once your instant coffee is dissolved. And then you top that off with 1/2 cup of rum. And then a flour mixture. Baking soda is in it, not baking powder. Very important to get that right. I sometimes have made this so frequently, so in such close succession, that I have the recipe memorized. I don't have it totally memorized today, but that's the basics of it. And so the key, though, to the pan is you grease the pan. I use Crisco. And you dust it with fine, dry breadcrumbs. and therefore it does not stick. The cake doesn't stick in the pan. And I think that would be true of this pan as well, even though this pan has had some abuse, clearly, because whoever had it before they gave it to the thrift shop clearly had trouble getting the cake out of it. But that is really a key. And it bakes for over an hour, about an hour and 12 to an hour and 20 minutes, depending on, I don't know, the phase of the moon or something. And anyway, it's delicious. Then you serve it just as it is. Some people like to put whipped cream with it. I don't ever bother, especially if I'm transporting it to South Carolina. Some people like to sprinkle it with a little confectioner's sugar. That looks nice, especially if there was any difficulty getting out of the pan. A little confectioner's sugar hides a multitude of problems. And anyway, that is it. So I'm not going to try to put the recipe in the description field under this video because I don't think it will fit, and I don't want to retype it. Although I could copy and paste it possibly. I don't think it'll be there. I don't think it'll fit. There is a character limit. But if you would like the recipe for 86 proof cake, which is originally from the Maida Heater Book of Great Chocolate Desserts, I will be happy to send it to you if you email me. And my email address is in the description field. So email me and say you'd like the recipe and I will email it to you. I think if you like a rich chocolate dessert, I think you will like this cake. So, what else? We decorated for Christmas. And I'll put a picture here of our Christmas tree, which looks very nice, don't you think? I think it looks really nice. It's an artificial tree. But if you look closely, you will see that we have to fix a little problem in the upper third of it. Yeah. Byron said, I think we shouldn't use this string of lights because a few of these bulbs are out. And I said, just a few of the bulbs, it'll be fine. Well, apparently that was a sign of more trouble to come because now the whole string is out. As you can see if you look, just look right up. I don't know where. I'm gesturing. I have no idea how it's going to look in the picture. And my favorite Christmas decoration always, every year, is the lights in the vase, which I'll put a picture of that also. This is a cut glass vase that was in my mother's house when she was growing up, and after she died, I got it along with the marble top table that it sits on. And it is my favorite part of Christmas decorating is that putting the lights in that vase. I used to just take a string of white lights and just sort of drop it gently in there. But a few years ago, probably 10 years ago now, I decided that I wanted to create something a little more permanent, and also so that the lights were evenly distributed up the whole vase instead of gravity pulling them down into the bulb of it. And so I got a cone, styrofoam cone shaped thing that would fit down in there, and I drilled a hole basically and inserted a dowel into it that reaches up nearly to the top, and then I wound a string of those white fairy lights, those lightweight lights. It was hard at the time to find fairy lights that were plug-in. Pretty easy to find them with battery packs, but it was hard to find plug-in, but I found some. And I wound that. Also, I wanted the lights to have a white cord because I wanted it to be invisible essentially in the daytime, and for the dark cord to not detract from the look of it. So I found that, wound those around there, and used staples and tape and I don't know what all to hold it in place. And then then the cord comes out the top and it goes down the back. So from the inside of the house, you can't see that there's a cord. And then it plugs into a timer and it comes on and off automatically. The interesting thing is that arrangement of lights is actually very delicate. It's very easy for it to come undone because of just the materials I was using and how I did it. So in the off season, it's very carefully lifted out of the vase and it's put in a wine gift bag, a nice sturdy one. And then a little plastic bag is put over the top of it to keep the dust out. And it all fits in there along with, you know, the power cord. And we don't put the timer in there because all this is stored in the eave storage and the temperatures are quite extreme. But anyway, that's my favorite thing. Anything else? No. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you giving your precious time in the holidays to watching a video by me running on and on about random things. I hope you found something interesting. If you want the recipe, email me. And I hope that if you're stitching, if you have time to stitch here in December, this busy month, that you're enjoying yourself, that you are you don't feel pressured to get some present done, but you are calm and it's giving you relaxation to stitch. And if you're just baking or getting ready for the holidays or planning for guests to come, I hope you're enjoying that. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you're having a wonderful December. And I guess that's all. Many blessings to you, friends.